Good evening, Pastor Matthew, Hollywood United Methodist Church. Sorry for that pause there. I'd already done this one time, and apparently it did not ever go out. So this is take two. But it is December the 6th, which means it is Luke chapter 6. We continue our annual journey through the gospel according to St. Luke. And it reads, One Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields, and his disciples started picking the heads of grain, rubbing them in their hands, and eating them. But some of the Pharisees said to them, Why are y'all doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath day? Jesus answered them, Haven't y'all read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, and took and ate the sacred bread, which is not lawful for anyone but priests to eat. He also gave some to his companions. Then Jesus said to them, The Son of Humanity is Lord of the Sabbath. On another Sabbath, he went into the synagogue and was teaching. And there was a man whose right hand was shriveled. The scribes and the Pharisees watched him to see whether he would heal on the Sabbath, so that they might find a reason to accuse him. But he knew their thoughts. So he said to the man with the shriveled hand, Get up and stand here in the middle. So he got up and stood there. Then Jesus said to them, I'm going to ask y'all something. On the Sabbath, is it lawful to do good or to do evil? To save a life or to destroy it? He looked around at them all, and then said to the man, Stretch out your hand. He did, and his hand was restored. But they were filled with rage, and they started to discuss with one another what they might do to Jesus. During those days, Jesus went out to the mountain to pray, and he spent the whole night in prayer to God. When morning came, he called his disciples and chose 12 of them, who he also named apostles: Simon, whom he also named Peter, Andrew, his brother James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, Simon, who was called the Zealot, Judas the son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor. He came down with them and stood on a level place with a large crowd of his disciples and a great number of people from all Judea and Jerusalem and the coastal region of Tyre and Sidon. They came to hear him and be healed of their diseases, and those who were troubled by unclean spirits were made well. All the crowd was trying to touch him, because power was coming out of him and healing them all. Then, looking up at his disciples, he said, Blessed are the poor, for y'all's is the empire of God. Blessed are those who hunger now, for y'all will be satisfied. Blessed are those who weep now, for y'all will laugh. Blessed are y'all when humans hate you, and when they exclude and mock y'all, and reject y'all's name as evil because of the Son of Humanity. Y'all should rejoice in that day and leap for joy, because y'all's reward is great in heaven, for their ancestors treated the prophets the same way. But woe to y'all who are rich, for y'all have received y'all's comfort. Woe to y'all who are well fed now, for y'all will be hungry. Woe to y'all who laugh now, for y'all will mourn and weep. Woe to y'all when humans speak well of y'all, for their ancestors treated the false prophets the same way. But I say to y'all who are listening, y'all should love y'all's enemies. Do good to those who hate y'all. Bless those who curse y'all, and pray for those who mistreat y'all. Whoever strikes you on the cheek, offer them the other also. Whoever takes away your cloak, don't withhold your shirt from them. Give to everyone who asks, and whoever takes what is yours, don't demand it back. Y'all are to do for others what y'all want them to do for y'all. If y'all love those who love y'all, what credit is that to y'all? Even sinners love those who love them. And if y'all do good for those who do good for y'all, what credit is that to y'all? Even sinners do that. And if y'all lend to those from whom y'all hope to be repaid, what credit is that to y'all? Even sinners lend to sinners in order to be repaid the same amount. But y'all should love y'all's enemies, and y'all should do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. Then y'all's reward will be great, and y'all will be children of the Most High, because he is kind toward the unthankful and the evil. Therefore, y'all are to be merciful, just as your Father is also merciful. Don't y'all judge, and y'all won't be judged. Don't y'all condemn, and y'all won't be condemned. Y'all forgive, and y'all will be forgiven. Y'all should give, and it will be given to y'all. An excellent measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For the measure y'all use will be the measure y'all get back. He also told them a parable. Can the blind guide the blind? Won't they both fall into a pit? A student is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like their teacher. Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but don't notice the log in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, Brother, let me remove the speck from your eye, when you yourself don't see the log in your own eye? You hypocrite! First remove the log from your own eye, and then you can see clearly to remove the speck in your brother's eye. A beautiful tree doesn't produce rotten fruit, and likewise a rotten tree doesn't produce beautiful fruit. Each tree is known by its own fruit. For people don't pick figs from thorn bushes, or grapes from brambles. The good human produces good from the good treasure in their heart, while the evil person produces evil from evil treasure in their heart. For out of the abundance of the heart one's mouth speaks. Why do y'all call me Lord, Lord, and yet y'all don't do what I say? Everyone who comes to me and hears my words and does them, I will show y'all what they are like. They are like a man building a house, who dug down deep and laid a foundation on the rock. When a flood came, the torrent broke against that house and could not shake it, because it was finely built. But the one who hears but doesn't do it is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. When the torrent broke against that house, it immediately collapsed and was completely destroyed. This is the word of God for us and for many, the people of God. Thanks be to God. Hello, Melanie. We continue on our journey through this with being led by some of our leaders. Miss Sarah Brown, who's a teacher at our preschool, offers some thoughts today. Miss Sarah is a teacher of our 3-year-olds, as well as a helper on the kindergarten and transitional kindergarten side. She has some thoughts of her own, and also then talk to the kids as well. And really what her things she notes and her questions are the things I think for a lot of us we do, which is these are teachings of Jesus that if you've been following Jesus at all, you probably heard it. Probably heard it a number of times. And yet we aren't very good at doing it. It's complicated, right? She talks about the difference between forgiving and forgetting. It's actually something we were talking about in our Good News study on Tuesday night this past week. I think one of the things that makes forgiveness difficult is we, as a culture, sometimes encourage lying about forgiveness. What I mean by that is when somebody hurts you and then they apologize, there's this societal expectation that your response will be one of two things. Either, it's okay, or I forgive you, even if it's not true. And I think that makes it difficult because it's almost like we're playing out this script. We know what our line is supposed to be, but we don't feel it on the inside. And so I think some of what forgiving looks like is a simply understanding that it takes time, right? The call to forgiveness doesn't mean that the minute something is done wrong to you, you need to immediately forgive. I hear remember these big stories of, awful tragedies and the people responding. And somebody once said, it takes a lot to say I forgive you. And it doesn't take a lot to say it. It takes a lot to do it. And by a lot, I also mean time. My wife and I, one of the things we've tried to incorporate into our lives, and we saw it on the internet somewhere, is that when somebody apologizes, the best response sometimes is thank you. It may not be the one that we are super comfortable about, but it acknowledges that the harm that we have is real and it's going to take some time to heal. And that maybe there's just a sense of patience in there that maybe we're going to be harmed for a little bit, maybe we're going to carry that grudge for a little bit, but the day will come when we will forgive. And as to forgetting, who knows? Maybe that is possible. And it might change not so much what forgetting is, but is there a way, a future way, where we remember the pain and all that sort of stuff, but only in the way that like we remember a fact about history. It doesn't influence our lives. I think that can be interesting. In the same way she talks about the Sabbath. Look, it's one of the, as soon as you read the Bible, if you start reading from Genesis on, you get this notion that God says, God created the world in 6 days and then rested, and so we are to rest on the Sabbath. In our lives, that's really difficult because we're constantly thinking about what has to be done now. I'll tell you right now, here I am reading this to you. I got dinner stuff happening in the kitchen right now. I'm going to think that. And when the kids are ready for bed, there's all these sort of thoughts. And it's like, how do you do that? How do you develop a rhythm so that you can actually have a Sabbath rest and like truly rest, not just like physically rest, but in your heart rest? And I think it's about priorities. I think maybe that means, okay, perhaps in the week you have to say, okay, 6 days of work, 1 day of rest. How might my life be over the next 6 days so that the seventh day is a rest, is a day that is helpful? And perhaps one of the things that it's going to take for the biggest is really getting yourself to be understanding that resting is not the absence of doing anything. It's not somehow the absence of work. I mean, it is the absence of work, but I think there's this thing of like, what'd you do today? Well, I did nothing. What you did was you took your Sabbath day and you rested and you recharged and you were grateful to God. That's not nothing. And yeah, the world keeps moving on, which means maybe after your 6th day, there's things that didn't get done. Well, there's a new week starting to get it done there. And I think that's one of the ways in which creation was made, is so that we can do the work that is good, but we don't let the work become everything. And so that can be a difficult thing. It might be easy to sit down, but is it easy to truly be like, okay, I'm okay with the to-do list not being done? And she also talked to the kids about how they would do it, and she said they would apologize to their enemy or their angry friend and give them a small gift. And that's interesting to think about, to like apologize. And you don't want to have the gift to be the thing of like, okay, I gave you a gift, you have to say, you have to forgive me because I've given you a gift. That makes it good. That's not a great thing. But it's this understanding of like, giving something is not as a thing of saying, okay, quid pro quo, I give you gift, you forgive me. But more of I'm giving you this gift as a sign that the damage that I did was real. And I really don't know if about it. It's a really interesting idea of like, on the one hand, it's a reminder of, oh yeah, I did that fault. I don't know what that looks like. You can let me know in the comments on it. So that's Luke 6, though. Lots of great stuff in there. Remember, we're live usually on Facebook, and then it gets posted to YouTube. Tomorrow, Advent 2, 10 a.m. Join us at Hollywood United Methodist Church. If you can't make it in person, join us on our YouTube channel, and then come back here. We're usually live on Facebook, and then the video gets posted to YouTube for this as we read Luke 7 tomorrow. Have a wonderful night, y'all.